Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we're going to talk about my experience with a P90 guitar. When it comes to guitars and guitar gear, one of the last remaining, untraveled paths for me personally was the P90 guitars, specifically, the Les Paul Junior style guitars. I've talked about this publicly on this channel for many, many years. I've always wanted a Les Paul Junior. I've always wanted to get a P90 equipped guitar here at the studio because I love the tones that others get with them. I simply have never had a ton of experience, really any experience with an old school P90 guitar until I got this guy. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to shout out this video sponsor, Sweetwater, for sending me this guitar per my request. I asked them, hey, can I check out a P90 guitar? And they were like, you know what? Sure. What do you want? They've been super, super gracious for all of your guitar needs and P90 guitar needs. Head on over to Sweetwater. I will link down below in the description. But yeah, thanks Sweetwater for allowing this video to be possible. Now, my reference for P90 guitar tones really lies within the punk rock realm of music. Now, obviously, they are much, much more versatile than just playing, hard and fast, loud bar chords. However, my own personal journey has been first seeing, Mike Ness with his P90 equipped Les Paul Deluxe in Social Distortion, and then later Brian Baker in Bad Religion. Like, those were the kinds of tones that I associated with a P90 pickup, which is, a little brighter than a humbucker, not as fat as a humbucker, but something that really cut and had a lot of mids and something that just really kind of, it was just really cutting. And that's something that a typical humbucker doesn't normally do. Now, misconception I always had myself with P90 pickups is they really couldn't do anything within a more modern context. I'm not talking about like metal chugs. I'm just saying, like, for me and my own music, how would this even fit? Well, I decided to plug this into my Freeman BE50 Deluxe, straight in, no boost, no nothing, and I really like the results that I achieved. There's a nice clarity, there's a nice chirpiness to the pick attack, and yeah, I'm really happy with the results. So here's what this guitar sounds like in the context of a mix. Now, the P90 was first introduced by Gibson in 1946, directly after World War II, and it's gone through many, many iterations, but at this point, it's a 70-year-old design, and this is technically a single coil. This is not a humbucker. However, you can think of a P90 as a pancaked single coil pickup, as opposed to the single coil that you're probably thinking of that is in, a Fender Strat or something like that. A P90 has up to and around 10,000 winds, at least they originally did, which in comparison, a standard humbucker would have the same amount of winds, but divided between two different coils. So this has the same amount of output really as a Gibson PAF of the 50s or something like that. It's just a kind of a different flavor of a lot of the same things. So being a single coil, it has a lot of hum, and it's kind of noisy, but that's kind of cool. And you know what? I don't hate it at all. If you want the sound, that's just kind of a trade-off. Now, obviously, there are modern versions of the P90 that do not have the the single coil noise. However, in this guitar, which is a 2021 Gibson Les Paul Junior, this is all stock, and this is all just noisy P90 goodness. Now, having spent, a couple of weeks with this guitar now, the things I like about it are when you turn it down, it cleans up in a very nice specific way, and it really ramps up an output once you hit about 7 or 8 on the volume pot. Also, with the tone control, when you roll it off, I don't know, it doesn't get super muddy. It kind of retains the clarity, but you're just taking off some of that top end chirpiness that you have when the tone control is rolled all the way up. I don't know, there's just a lot of sounds in these two knobs with this one pickup. Pretty cool. Now I'm gonna do my best to do a little bit of a playthrough. There is not much here to work with. It's a Les Paul Junior with a single pickup. However, you're gonna see me play with the volume an awful lot. I'm not gonna change channels. I will be on the BE channel of the Friedman. And yeah, I'm just gonna play with the tone and the volume knobs, and you can kind of see how many different sounds are in this one pickup. It's pretty amazing. So what is the takeaway for me, having now played and spent some time with this Gibson Les Paul Junior? Well, I think every studio or every recording guitarist that can afford it should have some kind of P90 equipped guitar. And I say that because it's like having just something a little left of center, as opposed to something like a Fender style guitar or a Gibson style humbucker equipped guitar. This is just a little different, a little bit of a different flavor, just a real rock and roll machine, and it's just awesome. It's so simple, and if you know what, it just lets you just be what you want to be as far as what kind of player you are. So I don't know, for that, I really, really appreciate it. I will link down below in the description if you would like to check out more on P90 guitars and all things Gibson Les Paul Junior. Shout out to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.